Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Saw Revisited, and we're on Saw 4. Do that face from now on. Saw 4. I like this one better than 3. And I'm sorry it's taking so long to get out. I want to do more than one today, but I went grocery shopping today, so I ran out of time. Went to lunch with my mom. But then I got back, watched a couple videos, and then one video was almost an hour long, so I'll do more tomorrow. I promise. But yeah, Saw 4. This was gonna show us. This one shows us. Gonna show us whatever where the franchise was going to go, and it not always in the greatest direction. But we had introduced some new characters, and we uh, set up some new storylines. So yeah, so. Yes. So we start with Jigsaw's autopsy. Yes, we get Jigsaw's dead body. Very good looking dead body, complete with genitalia. Don't know why we need to see that. In the words, to paraphrase Adam Sandler from Big Daddy, I don't want to see his old balls. Like, yeah, no. But they find the wax tape that he swallowed whole. Apparently, he can swallow whole towards the end of the third one, which I did not bring up. I forgot. He swallowed it whole, and the wax that it was covered in apparently stopped the digestive juices in his stomach. Or he was killed before it completely digested. It takes a while to digest stuff, I guess, but I don't know. They find it and they call in a cop, and the cop is Detective Hoffman, as we've seen from the previous film. He was in one scene at the school with the one guy with the change. But yeah, forgot his name, but yeah. So and we get you think it's over just because I'm dead. I promise you, you will be tested. My work will continue. Yes. So then we get the opening trap, which I never understood this trap. Because there are some traps they set up that they just never explain. Like some of the stuff from the nerve gas house. And this is one of those that just like, what was the point here? So we have these two guys, this big fat bald guy, and then the other guy who's played by Louis Ferrer. Find out his name is Art Blank. Find out later. And Art has his mouth sewn shut, and the bald guy has his eyes sewn shut. So he can't see, and Art can't talk. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Right? That sort of thing. The Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor movie with it. Right? So, yeah. And the bald guy starts to freak out because he can't see anything. I mean, he hears stuff. He knows someone else is there. Art's trying to do something, but he can't. And then he just starts. He sees the key in the back of the guy's neck shackle, and just attacks the guy, beats him to death. I just got a flashback from American. It's like, I'm gonna stab you to death. Whatever. No. Beats him to death, and takes the key, unhooks his chains, and then opens his mouth, and that breaks breaks open the sewing stuff. It rips that open. So it's like, and then it goes to title card. But you watching this, you sit and you go, so why didn't you do that? If you could do that, why didn't you do that earlier? Like when the guy's freaking out, you can't see anything, he's trying to hear. Why don't you go, and then say, hey, look, my mouth was sewn shut, your eyes are sewn shut. Here's what's gonna happen. You have a key in the back of your neck, I'm gonna get it all for you. Okay? And we're gonna get out of these shackles. That's all you needed to do. But because we need an opening kill, that we don't do that. No. So instead, our first actual scene of this movie with characters we know is Carrie's, Detective Carrie's, death site. They're going in and they want to take the perimeter, but Rig, realizing that it's Carrie, just busts through and he's yelled and berated at by Hoffman. You can't do that. You always check your perimeter before you go in there. I'm trying to sound like an Australian guy doing an American accent there. You always check your perimeter. You never go in blind. That'll be important later. Although ultimately the writers decided he can't learn his lesson for the ending. I don't know. The ending to this movie has always frustrated me in more ways, in certain ways, but we'll get there. I like it better than the last one. Anyway, I don't mind the twists. The twists are fine. It's just, there's certain other things. So, after this, Rig is watching tapes and stuff, and he goes home. His wife is going out of town, and they are redoing his house. And that night, he's attacked by a pig mask person. I do want to point out that at Detective Carrie's thing, they're talking about how Carrie... We actually, I should say, we meet Detective Strong and his partner Strom and his partner Peter Strom and his partner Lindsay Perez, FBI. So they show up and they're like, "We are here to try to find a Jigsaw accomplice." They're like, "Well, Amanda Young." And given that we already know, again, super spoilers, given that we know this takes place at the same time as the third one. Now, if you're watching this, and you're watching this for the first time, and you're thinking, "Oh, they know Amanda because they found the bodies." But once that twist happens, and you know that this is taking place concurrently with the third one, this scene no longer makes sense. How do they know that Amanda is Jigsaw's accomplice? There's no way that just after the second one they could know. I guess they could assume, Carrie could have assumed because Amanda was never found, but the other people, okay. You look at the crime scene, Amanda was never found, they never find the house with the bodies. The next time we see that house, it's all done up again. So, I don't know. Maybe they made a mistake of having Amanda show up in public. We never find out because it's never. I don't know. It's just never. It still doesn't make any sense. I tried to make sense of it. It doesn't make any sense. Well, no sense. Sorry, I tried to make sense of it. Doesn't. No. But yeah. They wouldn't know. They're like, "We're trying to find another accomplice." Well, Amanda Young. Amanda Young is too short to do this. We're looking for the person helping Jigsaw and Amanda Young. So they already know there's somebody else. And spoiler alert, we find out later it is Hoffman, which makes sense. This dude could play a villain. They also say that Detective Carey left them a message stating that 2 cops would be in danger. And we were supposed to assume that those 2 cops are Detective Matthews and Detective Hoffman because they're both found. I love the editing because you see a pig mask behind Hoffman, and then later they go back to that scene and it's just a costume that's behind him. I like that editing. But yeah, so Rig wakes up in his house, and he finds a woman, and she is. So I'm confused. Some of these, I understand. So the whole idea of Jigsaw's thought process here is for Rig to kind of see things the way that Jigsaw is seeing them, and let the people save themselves. Put them in the traps like he does, and let them save themselves. Do not get involved. That does result in a lot of deaths, but the whole point is to let the trap happen. Let it proceed. Don't interfere. and he doesn't learn that lesson. We'll get to that, but that didn't. So here, this first trap doesn't make sense with that because he has to help them. He has to help this person get the numbers, and like it's weird because he has to let it get to a certain point. That's the scalping machine. Get to a certain point with a scalp thing, so he can see the numbers, and he's able to put that in. This worked better than the numbers on the back of everyone's head in the second one, but. But then she has found another tape recorder afterwards that says that the cop is going to throw her in jail for what she's done, all the bad things she's done, so she should try to kill him. So we know from the next one that Hoffman can copy Jigsaw's voice. I think the full intention of this was, Jigsaw's full intention was that Rigg was supposed to save her here, and she was supposed to survive. But Hoffman put another message so that Rigg would have to kill her in self-defense. Because otherwise, Jigsaw's test doesn't make sense. Why would he do that test and then tell her to do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. She's thrown through a window that is also a transition. And yeah, we're following the others. And we also, the whole thing with the cop plot is that they keep going to the places. I guess the cops are called, but Rigg is next led to a hotel where we see this fat ass sex offender. Is that what they call him? I know he's not a pedophile, but he still sexually assaulted women, so it's still a sex offender, right? I know there's another word for it, but I want to, the R wordist, but I don't want to say that on camera. But this guy, he's a clerk. We find out he's an R wordist, and I do like this one where it's like Rigg is unsure if he wants to put him in the thing, but then once they get in the red room and he sees the pictures and the video footage, he's like, "You sick fuck," and puts him in the thing, right? Yeah. Meanwhile, Strom finds photo evidence of the mystery woman from the last one, who's Jill Tuck, Jigsaw's ex-wife. And we get flashback footage that she was once preggers with a little boy named Gideon that John perfectly picked out. Year of the pig, the whole sign, zodiac sign thing. And there is a scene where he is at Jill's clinic, and we get some people in the background. You're going to miss them. I don't remember them all. Gus from part 2 is in there. The guy with the changes is in there. There's a couple more people that are in there. I think Michael, the Venus Flytrap guy, is in there, and there's one more person. I think someone from the first one. I don't know. Are in there. And then outside, while Jigsaw's waiting for Jill to show up, Addison shows up, Emmanuel Vaugier. I love saying that name now. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, and she's a hooker. Yeah, so, hooker here. Hey, you want a good time? Or whatever she says. No. And we also meet Cecil, the drug-addicted asshole. Though we find out later, he was not doing this of his own volition. I don't know why I just said that like Robert De Niro. He was not doing this of his own volition. He was not the one in charge at this point in time. We find out later, it is Amanda who is behind this. I do not like it. I do not. Yeah. In sixth one, in the unrated version, there's an opening that shows them in a car together very quickly. It's weird footage that's from behind them, so it's like someone else, I don't know. But then that it's explained later in the movie, I guess. But, yeah. But because he's trying to get the drugs, James's words, not mine. He rushes out, hits her belly with the door, which causes her to have a miscarriage. And I would be pissed too. So Cecil becomes his technically the first victim, I guess. So I guess if we're going with the logic of Jigsaw here, that's canon. Apparently it's Cecil, then the people in that barn house trap, and then Detective Gordon, or no, and then the dude in the razor wire and the candle guy. I don't know which one comes first, and then Larry and Adam. To be fair, they never said that the razor wire guy and the candle guys were the first two victims. Right? But this trap makes no sense. First of all, you see him sound mixing the tape. But then he doesn't use the tape, and he just confronts Cecil himself using a pig mask. That's how it comes from, to kidnap him. Come on. I'm bleeding out here. Just let me go. Come on. And during this whole speech, live or die, puts this thing on him. He's got to push his face on the knives to get free, and he does that. But I don't think the trap works the way Jigsaw wanted to. The whole chair falls apart. And when Cecil decides, fuck it, I'm going to try to kill this guy, because that's a natural human response. He's going to try to kill you. Why not fight back? Jigsaw just steps to the side and has him fall through the razor wire. But killing is distasteful. Now before you say, but it was an accident. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Let's be realistic here. Cecil was never leaving that place alive. 1, he saw Jigsaw's face. You can go to the cops with that. 2, this man is responsible for the death of Jigsaw's child. 3, in some way, shape, or form, John was never going to let him leave. So yeah, no, this is murder. The fact that this guy was handpicked to be his first victim tells me it's all the other ones are about learning to enjoy life. So this guy does not match that. This was pure revenge. That's all it is. That's all it is revenge. That's all it is. Yeah. So we see Rig gets to a school where there is this woman. So we get a flashback that shows that this teacher, who is not the little girl's father, James A. Janice, this teacher was abusing this little girl. Rig realized this and punched the guy, which invoked a lawsuit. His lawyer was also Art Blank, who's also Jigsaw's lawyer, and Jill Tuck's lawyer. And this is where you get a hint of Hoffman's real tendencies, where he's like, I saw the guy, he hit Rig first. Said, me, I saw it happen. And I'm just like, well, that's bullshit. But he's, yeah, this shows you. And then knowing this, having this scene, and then finding out later he's a secret apprentice, that works. For them to show us a scene in part 7 where it's like, oh, he was a corrupt cop because he shot this guy. Yeah, we didn't need to see that scene. We already knew he was corrupt because he lied to a lawyer. Lawyers lie all the time anyway, so you can lie to anyone. A lawyer maybe, as long as it's not your lawyer, But then again, lawyers are designed to lie for you, so you could, I guess, you tell them the truth, and they find a way to spin it, the lie, But yeah. So Rig comes into the school and he finds them attached together. There's poles shoved into each of their bodies. Hers are non-lethal, but his are through major arteries. She woke up and already started doing this. All but one, she passed out from the pain. And the husband's already dead. Her husband, she was a secretary or another teacher. It's her husband. But they're not related to the little girl that he was abusing. It's not his daughter. too goddamn old for that. Granddaughter, I don't know. But no, they're not related. It was just she was a student. But anyway, they never outright say it was his daughter. But anyway, Rig realizes where he has to go next and lets her finish the thing. But does he pull out the last one, or does she? I think he helps her do that, and then he leaves. Then the cops show up, and that's where there's the flashbacks and stuff. And then they hear a noise, which leads them to a Billy doll that explodes in Perez's face, and she's in critical condition. And the next one, we finds out she's dead. I'm assuming because the actress couldn't come back, and then she was free for the sixth one. It's like, okay, let's just write that it was fake. We'll get into all the reasons why that doesn't make sense when we get to 6. But, yeah. Anyway. So Nostromo is pissed, and he's trying to figure out who's responsible for this. Art Blank reveals himself to be the one behind this trap that Detective Matthews and Detective Hoffman are in. So, this trap... Matthews, it's revealed that Matthews survived at the end after being attacked by Amanda in the third one. And he was found, and his foot was put in a... What do you call that? A foot apparatus thing for your foot. It's not a bandage, it's just like a boot. A boot. It was put in a boot because it broke his foot. I think it's still not healed because he's still got it on, and his hair's a little bit longer. Got a beard. And I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, he's still alive. All right. Yeah, about that. So it is shown to us that if he decides, oh, screw it, I'm just gonna kill myself, and he slips himself off the ice that he's standing on because he's looked up, so he's gonna hang himself. But Art Blank stops him, and then they look up and they realize, oh shit, there's 2 blocks of ice, and it's triggered if someone comes through that door. You better hope they don't come through that door, because if that happens and he falls, Hoffman, the melted water that's coming down from the ice will then pour into where Hoffman is and electrocute him. I do that because we know it's not going to do shit. But, yeah. So Rig, I think he's done with the test. He finds himself at the Gideon meat packing plant. Now, he's got to find his way through the hallways. Strom also finds himself at the Gideon meat packing plant. And not only is Rig there, not only is Strom walking around, but we get a cameo from the one, the only, the magnificent, slow-ass motherfucking Jeff. Yes, this is where it's revealed, oh, both movies are happening at the same time. And it's one of those movies where I think they had to throw in a double twist, because I feel like Hoffman being revealed as the accomplice is too obvious. Because you see it and you're like, okay, I get that. Yeah, sure. But the twist at the same time, oh, what? Huh? Because I remember, well, I was both confused by both. I just confused myself. I was confused by both when I first watched this, because like the reveal that it's happening at the same time, like, wait, what? Oh, and then they reveal Hoffman, and I'm like, oh, okay. In some ways, it doesn't make sense that the guy that was in one scene in the last one is now like gonna be the main villain, but it's like that's how it works. You get one, because look at Rig was in one scene in the second one. He wasn't in the first one. He was in the second one. Carrie was barely in the first one, and she had a bigger role in the second and third one. So, you know. But, Yeah. So you know what happens with Motherfucking Jeff? He shows up, finds his wife is being shot, kills Amanda, then Lynn dies, Jigsaw dies, boom. Meanwhile, Rig has reached the door and decide that he, after hearing all this stuff and all these notes that are left for him as he's making his way to this door. By the way, how is it guaranteed he was going to find that door and not stumble into Jeff? Celeste, motherfucking Jeff, sorry. Just going by his name. He decides, well, I have to save them, and busts through the door just as Matthews shoots at the door, which hits Rig. But the whole point of his test was he was not supposed to go through the door. And you're supposed to check to make sure the door is secure before you go through it. And he didn't learn his lesson. And I've never liked this. I've never liked this because it makes the whole game that he did absolutely unnecessary. The whole point of these Jigsaw games is to teach people something, or to learn something, or to have something. This game is just here to show people dying. It's the most purest form of torture porn you can have in this movie. It's just written by Marcus Dunstan and the other guy, Patrick Melton, and Marcus Dunstan, who would do The Collector and The Collected, two good movies. And hopefully it will bring us the Collector and The Collection, and will hopefully bring us The Collected to get that movie made. Anyway. So, yeah. But yeah. So he busts through. Art tries to tell him he was being tested when he goes to reach for the tape recorder. Rig shoots him through the head, which I used to think was his trap going off, and I was, he's getting shot to the head, and I'm like, oh, I'm always bummed we didn't find out what that trap does. He's in the contraption, but no, and yes, he was tested. If you hearing this, you failed. You did not listen to what I said, because the writers wanted to have the whatever. But it turns out that Hoffman is the secret accomplice. He's still alive. And then Strom shows up to finish off the cliffhanger from the last one as he opens the door. He has the key somehow. Opens the door, goes in, shoots Jeff because Jeff has a gun in his hand. I feel like Strom needs to learn the same lesson that Rig did. Because it's like, calm down. He's like, where's my daughter? And he just shoots him. And it's like, what? I'm sure Jeff would probably, Celeste Motherfucking Jeff would probably go to jail, but he was too slow to explain things, I guess. I don't know. That's why I didn't write Jeff down in the last one, because he's not still alive. He dies. But I will write here, Rig. And those of you might be going, well, wait a minute. He dies here. Bullshit. I do not believe that Rig dies here. He was shot, sure, and we don't see him again, and yes, they do get confirmation in the next one. They show the pictures of the dead cops. But we know in this franchise that the public perception, the cops, the people in charge, know diddly jack shit when it comes to what's actually going on. So, no. No, and I know they'll probably never go back to it, but I'm still convinced that those two pig mask guys at the end of 7 that help Gordon are Daniel Matthews and Rig. Because it doesn't make sense to be those two fucking guys from the beginning of that movie, because they have no fucking connection to Jigsaw. And the director just said that so that people would stop asking who they were, because they didn't want to ever answer that, because they wanted to wrap everything up in that movie. But now that we keep doing these, I want a Legacy sequel. I want Saw 8. It would probably be Saw 11 now, because you can't call it Saw 8. Or you could. You could actually call it Saw 8 because Saw X is a prequel. I don't know, because there is no Saw 8. I don't know, but I want a movie that follows after the events of the final chapter of Saw 3D and continues the story. I want to go back to that story. Prove me right. I want it to be Rick and Daniel Matthews. It makes sense. Whatever. And then we cut back to the scene with Hoffman at the morgue. And you think you will go untested? You think you will go untested? And then the movie ends. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. We did get a game over from Hoffman to Rick. I do not think Rick is dead. Sorry, I'm putting him on the list. He just made the list. He's on the list, okay? Rick is still alive. You're not convincing me otherwise. I don't care what that picture says. The cops aren't always right. In fact, most of the time they're wrong. But, so, yeah. So, favorite trap here. I don't fucking know. The sex offender guy. That one. Probably the bloodiest one. His leg gets ripped off to the eye. So, yeah. And I actually think he could have survived that. He does one. Then after seeing what happens, he completely shuts down. He's like, I don't do that again. I don't do that again. But he could have just pushed the other button and do it. But he did it, and so he gets his legs ripped off. So. I don't know. But yeah. And I should also mention Strum gets locked in the door where Jeff was. He has the key. Or no, was it in the door? He didn't keep the key in his hand because I had them in the door, I guess. But anyway. So there it is. I will say this is pretty good. I think it's better than the third one. It's one of the good ones, I think. So, yeah, it was good. It was fun to watch. So, what are your thoughts on Saw 4? Leave a comment, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.